DJ Quik is the producer that you think that Dr. Dre is. I'm Sean, Lonegevity, with Bringing Down the Band and the New Old Heads podcast, and this is my Unpacked series, where typically I go deeper on New Old Heads segments and sometimes some other things. And today is from a segment from the New Old Heads, episode 447, where we talked about DJ Quik and Dr. Dre and the nuances behind it. This is a great conversation. I mean, we're going to jump into it, but it's also because there's two producers, myself and Major Seventh, and two DJs and Jay Moore, who's just a hip hop aficionado. So we have some very strong opinions on both sides on this one. So let's get into it.
This caught my attention from a music standpoint. Just being a person that's done music for a while, Lone can attest to that. We've all been in the
you've done music for a while,
long time,
couple years.
But so has everyone else here, right? Like everybody's been involved at some point, like whether it be DJing or hosting.
You?
Well,
Sean, has he?
Yeah, he has.
All right,
cool. DJ Quik responded to a tweet from someone on Twitter who said, DJ Quik is actually who everyone thinks Dr. Dre is.
I saw that.
Now, that's, it's last week or whatever, but the concept of producers who are hands-on versus producers that are posers, if you will.
So hold on.
I think calling Dr. Dre a
Poser,
poser.
that's a little far-fetched.
I know what you're talking about.
Because I'm not saying Dr. Dre is a poser. What I'm saying is I know how hands-on DJ Quik is versus Dr. Dre. So I know
you know him personally.
Well, I don't know him, but I'm going off what I've seen.
Should you ask the expert over here? Because I know all this stuff. That was a joke. Mike missed the joke, but it's kind of funny.
Definitely an expert. But Lone, you know what I mean when it comes to Quik, because I felt him when he said finally someone has had the balls to say it. DJ Quik has always been known as a producer that can pick up a guitar, piano, bass, arrange, no samples.
And you're also extremely biased here.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Quik, but it's on tape.
Yeah.
Like, he's really the person that I'm just...
Yeah, Mike, I only said that because Mike is a huge DJ Quik fan, which, I am too. But I'm
biased. Yeah, I love the West Coast. I love Quik, but I felt him when he said it because Dr. Dre, who we've also seen sit down at a piano, produce, but there's also Scott Storch. There's a DJ 𝗕𝗏. A lot of people that come in where he kind of orchestrates.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So what do you think about that, Spools? When you hear Quik say, finally someone said it, because I knew where he was coming from, and I also know how to separate the two. It's not disrespect per se to Dre's skill set, but I totally understand where he's coming from.
Well, I see I guess, trying to put myself in your shoes or you guys' shoes, some of you guys who've been around instrumentation and know how to versus people. That's what it sounds like to me, like, because the word producer meant something a little bit different before than it does now, or has been, what it has meant maybe for the past 30 years or something like that.
Right.
Quincy Jones versus...
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
So knowing that you favor those elements, those musical elements, and even going further, and I think to a degree, there's something almost better about being able to do it that way. Okay. But that's just my personal preference. Like,
sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I feel like being able to, don't get me wrong, like there's being someone who can make everything yourself, you can't really deny that, but being able to work with others is definitely a skill set that should not be overlooked. And sometimes it's kind of this elitist point from music producers that are also musicians that can do everything. Be like, you didn't do that. But yeah, I kind of agree with that.
My ears like and things like, because I also like people who don't do that a lot too. But just that I don't know, man. It's almost like it's like an extra notch if you're a producer who actually can do those things.
Let me ask you this, Spools. Is that just...
It's absolutely what it is.
I guess
but
the purist, is it the purist part, like where you think that there's something else extra there when a person can do?
Yes.
And the reason I'm saying that is because there was a post, and I'll never forget it, with Pete Rock and Ninth Wonder were shopping for wax. And, finally, I'm talking about finding crazy samples. DJ Quik was in the comments section, and he came up and he said, make your own, like, I'm paraphrasing, but make your own shit.
Sure.
Why are y'all sampling?
Yeah.
Like, I think that goes to kind of the direction that he's going here for his response. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. And also personally, my favorite producers aren't known to pick up the instruments necessarily too. Okay. Some of my favorites. I mean, does Premier do that?
No. Not to my knowledge.
I don't think Pete Rock does. I don't think.
Not to my knowledge.
I think RZA did a little bit. I think he knows how to play keys and certain things
Not
like that.
very well.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But, so my favorite producers,
Bring it.
Guys I just mentioned and a handful of others probably don't know how to do that. But when I do hear a producer, like, that is a part of their, like, shout out to my man Edge. Some of you guys know Edge.
RZA's best stuff is when he's just sampling grimy records with really grimy drums. It's not his original stuff.
Edge.
Sure.
Edge is dope. Sorry, he's very dope. And I was trying to watch my mouth. I used to swear all the time on this show, man.
It's
And
okay now.
It's all good.
Came in
It's
today
okay.
and was like,
It's all good, man.
knock it off.
Get it out. Get it out.
And if you don't know, Spools used to be on the show. He was the original. One of the four on the show. Jay Moore took over for him. So, but he's going to be coming back once a month as the fifth panelist.
Now, get it out.
But no, like it adds this additional element, man. It tells me that person understands music a little bit differently, not necessarily better than someone who doesn't use those elements or know how to.
I would say objectively better. Typically speaking, I think that's something. I don't think that's a subjective thing. I think if you understand music and you can play it, you are objectively a little bit better than somebody at music. It doesn't necessarily mean the total output's always going to be better than somebody who makes music or somebody who doesn't every single time. But there is definitely an objective, deeper understanding typically when people do that. It's just what it is.
play certain live parts or whatever, but I don't know. There's something real cool about it.
What you think about it, Lone? When just from what I'm describing in Quik's response,
Seems a little bitter.
you think he's bitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even saying that the bitterness is necessarily not justified,
Okay. Fair enough.
but it seems like it's something that's pent up. It seems like it's a conversation that he's probably had or between his people and everything. Those of us that produce and can play instruments as well understand the difference between those that can and can't.
True.
And to Brad's point, it doesn't necessarily mean that because I can play trumpet and because I can play keys a little bit or whatever, that it means that my beats are necessarily going to be better than somebody that isn't particularly sampling, playing trumpet, or making beats.
Good point.
It just means that there is a different level of understanding and knowledge and a little bit of understanding of a musicality that's behind everything. And it, again, doesn't mean that the beats are necessarily better, but it does sometimes, I feel like there is more of a knowledge. And Quik, but on the other side, Quik is an example of somebody who you can see that his beats are.
Yeah.
Like it lives in him, and I think most of the time that is the case with producers, that are on the level of a Quik or something like that. Or even, like your guy, tall black guy or 14 KT or Slot or, any of these producers that like truly understand the musicality of it, because there's this relationship that happens physically when you touch the instrument and how it moves that translates into how your brain works when you approach different things. And, whether or not you utilize when you're making it is different than whether, somebody that doesn't know anything about it. Like if you don't know what keys and chords are, you don't know the combinations of stuff, you don't know what you're doing, then I'm not going to say you're limited because, you are limited. I mean, even Primo was limited to a specific piece. I love Premiere.
He mastered his sound.
He
Rock, mastered it.
P-Rock is amazing. But at the same time, like, and they're geniuses in their own right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but there is another level beyond that, I think, that we see in certain producers. Now, the Dre comparison, I don't know because, like,
I've seen Dre get down, so I know it's there.
But I don't know. But I couldn't tell you the last time that I was 100% certain that Dre actually made a beat. And I'll say, those that you don't know, if you're new here, I am a music producer, and all the stuff that I'm talking about, I teach. I teach this stuff. So I'm not just like spouting off some random stuff here. I am a hip hop music producer that start off sampling and can play alongside of it. Has done both sides as a traditional producer and a beat maker, both things, but I also teach it and have both at a local school here and even on the collegiate level. So argue with your cousin or something.
Yeah,
I can't.
That's there, but I don't like this conversation.
Okay, that's what we're here for.
I don't like it.
That's even better. Why don't you like it?
Well, I don't like it. First time I heard DJ Quik was a song called "Born and Raised in Compton," which sounded a lot like Dr. Dre production.
I knew where you was going.
I mean, they used Dr. Dre sample in the song.
So
MC Ren's voice, right?
Yeah. So your introduction to the music space, regardless of what kind of musician you are, was a song called "Born and Raised in Compton," which NWA popularized. Being from Compton, you rode that wave.
That's a good point. I mean, argument potentially could be spawned that, and this goes to the bitterness piece where I talk, like, you don't respond in a tweet like that unless there's some level of bitterness. Regardless if I kind of agree with, like, I do agree with the sentiment, but like, you just ignore it. You know what I mean? But if Dr. Dre is the one who popularized this, you know, and the G-funk elements and everything that's out there, and you come up behind him a little bit, you drew inspiration from that, right? So you can say maybe you made it better, but I don't know.
Became your own DJ Quik. Okay, DJ Quik, he's a rapper. I only knew him as a rapper first. I didn't know he was a producer until later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about the impact that Dr. Dre had on the game, regardless of how you feel, being a purist or whatever, Dr. Dre changed the game of hip hop rap as a whole, period. DJ Quik is very, very talented. He can play plenty of instruments. He makes great music. He is not Dr. Dre. So you saying DJ Quik is actually who everyone thinks Dr. Dre is that's false. Because let me continue. DJ Quik has not left his stake in the game the same way that Dr. Dre has. You can't interchange those. That's regardless of how many instruments he knows how to play.
It's not the conversation, though. And I think, you know,
and how much of a purist he is. You're speaking from a musician's point of view because you like that he knows how to play these instruments. Dr. Dre is very skilled at making beats and including other people that can kind of help him get in his pocket. He's not somebody like a Puffy that's just like, all right, this is going to the Hitman or whatever the group with Stevie J and them were. That were making the actual production, and P. Diddy's just talking on it, saying that he's the producer. You're taking a lot from Dr. Dre by saying that. The reason why I'm upset is because what you said initially. When you said faking, you're talking about Dr. Dre here, man.
Okay, so first of all, when I say faking and I say posing, that's what you said. That's the lead into just the conversation. We've had a
but we're talking about DJ Quik and Dr. Dre.
We've had a bracket where I've said multiple times I think Dr. Dre is a GOAT. So let's get that out there. I've always said that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is I don't think DJ Quik is talking about impact. I don't think he's talking about records. Well, I think he's talking about.
I don't understand it. Then.
I think he's talking about man to man, producer versus producer. That's all. It has nothing to do with family trees, records, impact. I don't see it that way.
But I've never thought that Dr. Dre and DJ Quik. I've never interchanged.
Mike and I have had this in all respect due to Ninth Wonder, and you know, but we've had the same conversation about. I think a kind of a similar type of conversation is him and Crisis when they used to work kind of very close together on a lot of projects with a lot of the same artists. It's like Mike and I were always like, Crisis is who people think Ninth Wonder is in the same type of way. Like Crisis is super dope from a production level. And I think I even remember like Ninth mentioning this on a tweet like years and years ago, you know, like responding to criticism over it or something. Like it's not to take away from Ninth. Ninth is great at what he does. But he does something that's very specific. Like Ninth chops records, adds the drums to it. You know, rinse, repeat, add a bass line, rinse, repeat. Like that's what he does. Crisis is a little bit more intricate in his style. And it's very easy to compare two artists that kind of work in the same space and kind of do the same thing in that particular manner. And people that are in the space, you know, like me as a producer, when I see the things that Crisis does, I'm like, okay, I like the added elements that you do. Just maybe a little bit more than what Ninth does, because even though Ninth does it as a high level, because it's just like another added element on top of it. So I feel like it's very similar to that conversation as well, too.
Them or thought that one was the other versus, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense to me.
But see,
I think there's an overall sentiment to what the guy is saying. There's a way that I took it. Like, or maybe it is very supposed to be extremely literal, and I'm sure there's that literal part. But the way that I took it was like there are people that produce like Quik, which are like old school or older school producers that do it a certain way, that know this live instrumentation. You know, and maybe I'm wrong though. I don't know.
I feel like the guy is saying that DJ Quik should be getting the P's that Dr. Dre is getting.
Yeah,
but it's not P's from a accolade standpoint.
Yes, that's it.
That's not what this is about. This
From
is
a
about
musician standpoint.
This is about two people like hoopers. Me and you about to go hoop, and we're gonna see who's better. I feel like I'm nicer than you.
And who has the most MVPs? So this kind of goes.
Who has the better skill set? That's what this is about.
It's about
skill set doesn't make you a better player.
But that's where he's coming from.
I would agree. I think when you look at it in that particular manner, I would put Quik higher than Dre.
That's all I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's not about rings.
It's not about rings.
It's not the Bill Russell versus argument. It's about like. No, like when you put these two people on the court together, like all the things that they can do, Quik is the one that can do them all. Dre can do a lot of stuff too. He's got the rings. He's got, you know what I mean? He's got the accolades, but he was on the Celtics.
That's a good one.
Okay, so this also circles back around to what Jay Moore said many moons ago.
Okay.
Put the CDs on the table then.
No, that's not what this is about.
Yep.
See, and if you do that, which again, I don't think it's the point to be made, then of course Dre's there. And if you do lineage, of course it's Dre, you know, but that's not the conversation.
That's where I'm taking
this
it.
is about.
That's where I'm taking it.
Jay, jump in, bro.
Look, man,
we had this conversation
because
all night.
when I think about producers,
The crazy thing about this conversation was this wasn't even supposed to be a topic, and it just kind of turned into one.
you know, one of my producers, my favorite old school producers, if you will, is Norman Whitfield.
Okay.
Okay, produced for the Temptations.
Come on.
You know, had his own situation. He wound up producing the Car Wash soundtrack. You know,
Which is fire, by the way.
Yeah, Rolls Royce.
Yeah, he did not play, you know, the instruments on the. He was the one who said, "Okay, we're going to put this here. We're going to put this here. We're going to make this a record." Constructing records is what a producer does. Sometimes we have this conversation about the difference between
Historically, the names, the word, the framing of what a producer is has kind of changed throughout the years, especially within hip hop, because a lot of times the producer was also the one making all the music. So yes, it has changed, and we're not being super specific here, but
producers and beat makers. Could you make an argument that DJ Quik is a better beat maker because he does all these other things as far as his ability to play instruments and create something from scratch? That's an argument you can have, but
Sure.
I can never put DJ Quik over Dr. Dre as far as a producer is concerned, because I've seen, you know, videos of Dr. Dre and heard stories. One of the craziest
Drake can
ones
get busy, though.
about Dr. Dre is he's in the studio with Snoop, and Snoop is flowing. He's going for his, and Dre stops and says, "I don't believe you."
Yeah, that goes into it.
Yeah,
and that's definitely a thing that us producers have witnessed and been a part of before. If you ever work with an artist, like you understand that relationship between performing in the booth and being like, "Meh, you're going through the motions, but I don't feel it." So I mean, there is merit to what Jay's saying,
and you know, and says this is what you need to do with your delivery.
but again, it's not the conversation that Mike and I are having.
This is how we can turn these bars into a hook. This is what we can do to, you know, you may be able, this is a nice record, you know, maybe it'll play on a mixtape, but I'm going to take this and make it to be something that's not only on the radio, but as a hit.
But here's
That's what Dr. Dre, as a producer, has been able to do for the past, 40 years we're looking at?
Sure.
Jump in, Lo.
But
You done, Jay?
no, I agree with what Jay's saying, and I don't think there's anything wrong with producing the way that Dre does. I think that's
100%.
great. I think the collaborative approach is great, but that's not the conversation.
It's not the conversation.
And I think that's the main thing.
No,
like,
and that's why I say the difference. I say if you're going to talk about somebody as a beat maker, somebody who can take something and create it from scratch and make something out of nothing with, I'm not trying to say that the people he's worked with are nobodies. Well, you know what? Because Dre, Eminem, Snoop, and not Kendrick, but
50 Cent.
No, not 50. Maybe even the Game. As industry is concerned,
TLC.
we're nobodies, and he was able to create masterpieces around these people on their first records when no one else saw anything in them.
Lone, I'm sure.
but a lot of that was the star power of Dre. You know, but again, we're talking about popularity a little bit.
I'm coming to you, but you're downplaying DJ Quik the way that you sound as just a musician and not a producer that can point out flaws with verses and everything else that Dre is doing. Don't lose that part of it.
I'm not losing it, but I'm just saying when you look at the end result of what a
There's no
producer is
comparison.
able
No,
to
for sure,
create,
for sure.
then I'm sorry, like Quik is incredible,
Yeah.
but he's certainly not Dr. Dre.
Jump in, Lon.
Dre is exemplary.
Go ahead, Lon.
No, I don't really have anything else. I mean,
Suppose you got.
It's not the same.
I feel like there is a every once in a while some like Dre kind of hate always pops up from
Yes.
somebody. It happens every few years or so. It could be from Warren G. He's had some things to say about Dre.
His
They're
stepbrother,
actually
which is
like
crazy.
stepbrothers.
Yeah,
They
that's
like
crazy.
apparently don't really talk, and you know, but he feels a certain way about
Yeah,
Dre, and that's
that's
their
real.
business. I'm not, but it just Scott Storch has said something about Dre before. Definitely one of the best ever. Like you can't take that away from him. But like,
Can't.
I mean,
Nah.
people do the same about RZA. Like, have you ever heard of the things people, or the things certain people have said about like
May 7th did one of these and looked right at me because, you know,
dude RNS. If you're not familiar with RNS, he's a dope producer.
RZA was really dope. And then he was my favorite producer for a very long time. And I gave him a lot of benefit of the doubt for a very long time. But he's really only my favorite producer from like a very select period of time, because once we got into the 2000s, I just didn't like anything anymore.
Producer from New York, but a lot of, apparently had a lot of influence, or really showed RZA the ropes, shit like that. And never,
Which is super weird. How do you get worse as a producer? I've never quite understood the phenomenon of RZA and his beats getting worse over time, because normally everybody gets better. I mean, I'm sure I'm pissing somebody off right now, but like if we're objectively looking at RZA's production from like their first record, but when we go into Wu-Tang Forever, and even like all the solo projects and all that stuff, like that run was amazing. But then the fall off was like crazy. Like it's really kind of a crazy fall off just in quality level. And it's when he kind of like tried to start being a little bit more original. I don't know if maybe he did it. I don't know, man. Like it's weird. Like I think because he was like my favorite producer, I just kind of expected more from him, and he just didn't grow as a music producer. And it was, Mike and I talk about this all the time, because he was Mike's favorite producer as well. Definitely, and I was outside during this time period, like that's when I was like cutting my teeth as a music producer, and he just didn't grow in a positive way. And, it is what it is. He's still a legend, but I don't know. It's just very interesting.
Never got anywhere close as far as name popularity as RZA did.
Happens all the time, bro.
It seems to happen a lot, man. It's just interesting. Sometimes I wonder. Well, I just in general think people love like just any little controversial thing.
At the end of the day, these is two
very talented, very interesting conversations to have.
But I see where you're coming from.
I do, but I don't, because when we talk about musical impact of a Dr. Dre and what he did for the game. It is, though.
It's not.
I mean,
it's a musicianship conversation.
How is it not?
It's about what he's saying in the tweet is DJ Quik
is who y'all thought Dr. Dre was.
Is the musician, is the beat maker, is the music producer that makes slaps in the way that you think that Dr. Dre is.
That's what he's saying.
That's the conversation. It's not about... I didn't do a good job of describing that to counteract what Terry is believing right now.
Regardless of how you word it, I still don't agree.
Okay.
He's a more talented musician. He knows how to play more instruments.
I don't even think it's that. I think he's just a better beat maker
than Dr. Dre.
We gonna agree to disagree on this one because
I ain't going.
Y'all missing the point.
I'm not missing the point.
Y'all are missing the point.
Nope.
I'm just gonna point out
it's a
one thing.
musicianship conversation, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, right?
I was just gonna point out
if you're
the
talking
fact,
about producers.
Sorry.
I mean, if we're talking about musicianship, like I said, you can make a case. Like you said, we talked about putting somebody on the court, because Dre had called in Big Bass Brian, when he was trying to hit those licks, on those Ruthless records. And I get that. But that when you talk about a producer, when you're just talking about someone who gets someone to the finish line, an end result.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's two conversations. And what I'm saying, from a producer standpoint, and Mike, from a producer standpoint, we understand exactly what is being said here.
100%.
Man, I understand what's being said, but I still think it's false.
I don't think you do.
I don't think
you do.
Okay.
So, Jay Moore, I'm going to end it here, and then we can go back to what we were supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, I can have it.
But, Jay.
Let me ask this. Is that to assume, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but is that to assume that people in their mind think that when Dre makes beats, he's playing instruments?
Yeah.
Is that
See, it's not about instruments. It's not about like the fact that he can play instruments. It's not about sampling.
That statement kind of assumes that.
I think here's what I would say. I would say I don't necessarily disagree with what anybody is saying from the perspective of the production standpoint of Dre and the musicianship of Quik. What I'm saying is when I look at this tweet as somebody who has produced music and somebody who knows what Quik can do, and when I look at this from a perspective of what I know Dre does, Quik is by and far somebody that I would rather have in the studio with me, or somebody that I'm going to look up to as a music producer, as opposed to when I said in the studio with me, that was the wrong thing to say. But it's definitely somebody that I look up to more so as a music producer, as somebody who is creating things, as opposed to a Dr. Dre, just because of the nature of how Quik creates. With Dr. Dre, if I am going to be look, I started as a sample producer, and I'm just be real with you, and I teach this shit. It's easier to sample than it is to make something slap than it is to make something 100% from scratch and slap in the same type of manner. It's just easier. It's like, I can download, you go get yourself a dope break beat and a cool loop, and that's it. And I'm saying this from experience as somebody who was a sample producer primarily only as samples for over a decade. Like, it's just easier. And it still takes a specific amount of skill to be good at it. But like, if you can make something that sounds as dope with all the intricate musicianships that's happening within like a sample, you know, from an actual band, and you can do that all yourself. That's a different skill set. And that's somebody that I'm going to look up to a lot more than somebody who's just sampling. It's just what it is. Music, beat maker, producer in that aspect, as opposed to something else. I'm not going to necessarily say that nobody can perceive that, but what I am saying is that Mike and I have definitely a different perspective from this based upon the 20 plus years that we've been doing that when we see that. That's the only thing I'm saying.
And I'm going to end it here. Jay, I'm going to come to you with this one, and then we can pivot. So based off everything that I've heard from you and Brother J Diff here, and I'm just going to throw this out here, and I want you to think about very clearly what I'm saying. So based off what you've told me in terms of being able to put people in the right position and this and this and this, is Cal the better producer?
See, that I wanted to get to that because there's no way.
I feel like Mike's trolling at this point. I mean, I get his point, but
there's no way.
What you described is what you're saying. He's better than Quik.
I actually was going to say, I actually was going to bring up that Dr. Dre is not a DJ Khaled.
Lone, am I lying?
I see,
you see where I'm going?
I see where you're going, but I can't. But to Terry's point, though, I can't put Khaled is more of a Diddy than he is a.
I mean, he knows how to get the records and knows how to point people in the right direction. I'm just asking.
A lot of times, these records, when
Mike trolls. Mike's got like Trump arguments a lot of times.
I'll get some are finished, and he just yells, "We the best" at the front.
I'm just asking,
this
bro.
is very disrespectful.
I'm just asking.
Please don't.
You can like DJ Quik. I too like DJ Quik. I had both DJ Quik's albums.
I'm just asking.
Dr. Dre's albums. I had everybody's albums. I was fans of both of these individuals. But you pretty much coining that Dr. Dre is a Khaled.
I didn't say Dr. Dre was a Khaled.
You put them in the same sentence.
He's asking a provoking
I didn't
question.
say that, though. I didn't say that. Here's what I used an analogy. I did not say Dr. Dre is Khaled. I didn't say that.
And I think Mike's analogy here is in reference to the producer perspective, right? Because he's a producer, and we don't know Dr. Dre for making beats in the last 25 plus years.
Okay, DJ Academics goes by DJ Academics, and he ain't DJing shit.
And nobody on this panel thinks he's a DJ.
Exactly.
Okay, so that brings me to the point. Back to what I was saying. That again, that who the thinks that Dr. Dre is in there playing licks and all the time when he makes beats? I never have.
That's what I'm saying.
I've never one time been like, oh, I bet Dre's playing that bass line right now. I know he's not, because I know it's sampled, or I know, you know, perhaps he got someone else to, or whatever. So like, that's the funny part about the whole discussion to me is like when I read that, I was like, oh, I'm not a producer.
Yeah,
but I get what they're driving at.
No,
you know what I mean? But at the same time, I was like, who the fuck thinks that?
I think it's more just like a personal thing. Like when you are a producer and you do sit down and you do make these things, you know that there's a legitimate difference between being able to go to the computer and play and make all these instruments versus like, I'm gonna call somebody to do this because I can't do it. And I think that's really all that the conversation comes from. It's like Quik can do it all at a very high level. And I don't have 100%. I don't believe 100% that Dre could sit down in a computer by himself and make something like that.
But there's a greatness.
It doesn't mean that the production aspect is not important, that he's not great at it.
There's a greatness in both. Because for Dr. Dre to be able to say,
Mike,
yeah,
shut the fuck
I
up,
can
let me
do
talk.
60% of it, but I'm smarter than everybody else to get the other 40%. There's a skill there. Everybody can't do that.
Yeah.
But just Quik is looking at it like, yo, we outside hooping.
Yeah,
my skill set better than yours.
Okay,
that's it. That's all it is.
That's it.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, I think about the Norman Whitfields. I think about Quincy Jones. He's not in there playing the.
Is Norman Whitfield comparable to Quincy Jones?
Yes, because Norman Whitfield wasn't in there playing.
Who do you think
he didn't play on Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Who do you think they're gonna pick though? As a better producer,
Quincy Jones.
All
They're
right,
smart.
then. All right.
But at the same time, neither one of them were in there like trying to. You know, they may have been able to arrange something. They may have been a part of the mixing process.
Who you gonna pick?
They're the people who knew. Hey, I'm going to make sure that this person is playing on this. And so when I give them the lyric sheet and I give them the sheet with the notes on it, they're going to get it right. And I'm going to tell them, okay, you got to sing this again because that was flat. That was this. That's the end result is what a producer is making sure we get this song to the finish line. That's what a producer is supposed to do.
I think we're arguing two different points.
Yeah, I think so, and maybe it's because you know I'm not a musician.
I'm talking
because I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it's not like the point that Mike's making.
Right,
because this is not what this is about.
And perhaps it's getting lost in translation because, like I said, I'm talking to two not only producers but musicians, people who can read music and play things from scratch. Yeah. Something that I don't have the ability to do. So maybe
I still don't.
Terry's embellishing a little bit here. He played trombone a very long time ago. A very long time ago.
Agree.
Yeah, I don't. So like, this conversation, this conversation could still have like regardless if neither of them sold one record ever.
Yeah.
And you just listened to their music.
Yeah.
And you knew how they made the music. I think that's more where the.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they both are iconic.
Yeah.
So Dr. Dre.
Again, I feel like I've already said it, but it's like it's no disrespect to anybody, but me as somebody who I feel like from the outside looking in, you look at and Dr. Dre has this super name recognition. You're just like, man, Dr. Dre must be an amazing producer that can sit down and really craft all these amazing pieces of work. But like when you think of DJ Quik, you don't think of the same thing, typically speaking. But me, who's somebody who knows better, when I look at the process of like all the elements and stuff that's involved in the process of how each person is making their thing, like I'm going to aspire to be probably both. I want to be as good as Dre in the production aspect of producing, but like I also want to be a DJ Quik in the sense to like I want to be able to do it all, and it's one thing that I actually explain to a lot of my newer students who are fresh into this. I was like, look, if you're a sample based person, yeah, you can sample. There's nothing wrong with sampling. That's how I started. But I also spent like a year studying bass lines. I spent like a year studying rhythmic drum patterns and stuff. I spent a lot of times figuring out how to add accompaniment to samples so that it would sound natural and it would blend together and it wouldn't sound forced, like separate different types of sounds. And then I went the step further to like figure out how can I make stuff that kind of sounds fully musical in the sense to where like maybe it feels like I'm sampling, but it's all original. And these are all different processes and steps that are part of like being a well-rounded music producer, beat maker, whatever you want to call it. You can choose in this process to just go the route of a Dre and just be like, well, I got this Rolodex of people. Mike does the same thing. Major 7, he does the same thing. He's got people in his pocket that he calls. He's got bass players and keys players and stuff that he's working. He's collaborated with a lot of people. We've collaborated on stuff, and he's collaborated. Like we were in a group called Section Leaders together. Like we have material where we're doing all this. But my point is like there's a natural progression. And so when I look at as I'm growing as a music producer in general, and if you're a young music producer and you're seeing who Dr. Dre is and you're aspiring to be somebody like Dr. Dre, Quik is probably who you're aspiring to be like. Once you kind of learn a little bit more, because Quik is that person that is doing all the things that you want to be able to do. And I think maybe that's probably the best way that I've explained it out of all this. It's just like, I want to be able to play bass lines like DJ Quik. I want that particular type of funk element. I want to be able to do that myself. I want to be that type of well-rounded music producer, beat maker. And you can have the same type of conversation about Dr. Dre and his music production and the way that he curates a studio and how he manages and he gets the right pieces to fit everything together, So that's why I said it's kind of like two different conversations, So I think I can put a bow on that. I don't think we need to go back to watch the rest of the video. There's a little bit more time. So if you are interested in seeing the rest of the full segment, it's episode 447 of the New Old Heads podcast. Get the full uncut 2 hours by becoming a Patreon member. Patreon.com/newoldheads. You can become a free member and get notified when we drop stuff, or you can become a $5 member and get the 2-hour uncut episode every week, released a day earlier from when we typically drop episodes, and you can support some independent creatives. Anyways, I'm Lonegevity, and this is Unpacked with Lonegevity, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.